Hello and welcome. We're going to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the best teams, the teams you could use and spam in your Go Battle League and hit legend in the Great League. In today's video, we'll be talking about the top teams in the Great League, the best Pokemons you will see here and there. So without further ado, let's just go and talk about them. We're talking about this current season top teams for Shirt Disguise. The season started June 1st. We still have some time if you are struggling yourself. What about you, Yasser? I'm not playing as much. I play 1 day a week. I used to play 2 days a week, so now I'm playing 1 day a week. So hopefully I'll climb as much as I can September 3rd. No, not September 3rd. This Great League rotation. So I will go briefly about the best Pokemons here. And as you can see on PvP, we scroll down a bit. And okay. So the best Pokemon is still Carving, followed by Registeel, and Annihilape, Skarmory, Mantine. Those has been the top 5 since forever in this league. And honestly, like the people kept asking for Lantern nerf, and now all we see is like Pokemon that are weak to Lantern. Like in the top 10, all of the Pokemons are weak to Lantern. I think in the top 13 we only have 2 stuff that beat Lantern, but now Lantern is nerfed. There is no way people can use a Spark Lantern because the Spark is just bad. If you think like running Spark will justify running Lantern now because people are weak to Spark Lantern, then you are actually wrong. I hate to tell you that, but yeah, Spark is bad. Like even in resisted scenarios you won't, even super effective scenarios you would rather do neutral Water Gun because it's just better. So, good leads. The best 2 Pokemons are still like the best leads, Gligar and... sorry, the best 3. Gligar, Skarmory, and Annihilape are still the best 3 Pokemons to lead. When it comes to safest swap, Clodsire, Lickitung, Mandibuzz, and Azu are still the best safe swaps. When it comes to closer, Registeel is a decent closer. Bastardon players who refuse to learn how to play the game are still using Basti. Quagsire is just insanely good of a Pokemon, and Altaria is making a big comeback. So this is like meta-wise. Anything else worth mentioning? Mantine has been like charming, to be honest. It's so good to use, especially against those people who are using Poliwrath and Annihilape. So let's talk about the top performing teams, the top performing Pokemons, and then we'll move into the best meta teams. So the top performance, those Pokemons, you know, like on PvP, you have the top ranking, and then there is the top performance. The top performance are like the Pokemons that do well against the condensed meta, okay? People aren't going to use the entire list of people that exists on PvP. They will use like 5 to 10 Pokemons at max. So those are like the best of the best. Lantern with Water Gun is the best, most underrated, most unrespected, okay, Pokemon. Followed by Registeel, Quagsire. Well, Quagsire is just everywhere. You cannot say Quagsire is underappreciated. Goodra is actually nice. I myself have been playing Goodra and it's so good. Like it's like the Azu matchup. If you have a good IV, Goodra. By the way, I made 2 videos about Goodra IVs. Make sure to watch them before you build your own Goodra. It's a must to watch. There are like 3 or 4 meta matchups where you actually would love to pick up. Okay, so if you haven't built your Goodra, go look up on the channel somewhere. You will find a top PvP deep dive IV into the Goodra IV. Umbreon is pretty much most unrespected, most disrespected Pokemon because most of the stuff in the meta don't beat Umbreon. Like Annihilape into Umbreon is a scuffed matchup. Umbreon can win that matchup and Annihilape can win that. And now the most criminally the most okay, all of these Pokemon kind of are respected. Like Scalder is just insanely good right now because people are using Lantern less, people are using Lickitung less. So this Pokemon is just kind of free. Just give it extra Incinerate and it will be able to beat its own counters. So the top PvP, usually the top team on PvP, if you look at the top 3 PvP, is actually not correct. Why? Because PvP just made an update to the website, so we need to grab one Pokemon here and replace it. This is actually top 4 PvP. This team does not make sense, but it just shows you. It's like I always like it. I always like to talk about it, even if the team doesn't make sense, because I want you to focus on those Pokemon. So number 1 is Carbink. Registeel, you're no longer number 1. Number 2 is Registeel. Number 3 is Annihilape. So this team doesn't make sense because it's a triple weak. It's not actually triple weak. It's just not balanced. Okay, that's all I can say. So don't use this team. Okay, but keep those Pokemons, those 4 Pokemons on your mind every time you want to build a team, because it must include at least one of these 4. Okay, why? Because those are the best 4 Pokemons. Now let's talk about the top performing teams. Usually those top performing teams are teams that are good at high MMR, okay? At the average MMR, the expert rank and the ace rank and these ranks, you are better running a meta team, which we'll be talking about after. So the best team according to the best performing team according to PvPoke is actually something I was surprised to see. Like, I did not expect any of these Pokemons. I did not expect to see Scourge or Umbreon or even Vigoroth, but surprisingly this team is actually nice. The main weakness for this team is Azu. But it should be manageable because Scourge walls Azu's energy. Azu doesn't run Hydro Pump. Now someone will be like, what are you talking about, Yasser? Azu's everywhere in the 1300 with Hydro Pump, okay? Yes, Azu's everywhere, but without Hydro Pump, okay? And I was be like, no, Yasser, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't even play the game. Azu's everywhere with Hydro Pump in the 1400 MMR. Yes, sure. I love these comments. Thank you guys for leaving a comment, by the way. I appreciate that. Some comments have sometimes make me laugh, okay? So I appreciate you guys trying to make me smile. So again, with this team, just don't queue into an Azu. It's kind of an ABB team, so you have to aggressively swap to Umbreon at one point to bait out the Annihilape if you don't see it in the lead, right? Because Scourge is your Annihilape answer, unless you want to get swept by Annihilape. That's why I don't recommend using this team, but in fact I recommend using this team because it's kind of like a very bulky team, decent to have decent charge move coverage. Basically you covered everything. There is no main weakness on this team. I would say that the stuff like Superior are annoying, Trevenant is annoying, but if you play this team well you shouldn't have a problem because this team combines with like the best fast move pressure and the best charge move pressure here. You use Azu as a safe swap. Sometimes they use Reggie as a counter swap because usually people will safe swap Annihilape into Dragonair, and that's why you have Azu. You just destroy it. And with this team, you only shield Dragonair. Don't be like, oh yeah, I played this team and this team was bad. And look at their footage, they double shielding Azu. Don't do that. These Pokemons are there to soak energy, okay? Now moving into something I hate to mention in my videos, which is Bastiodon. So the best Bastiodon team is actually Bastiodon, Dragonair, and Wigglytuff. Some people would like to run Shadow Vic instead of Shadow Dragonair. Both are viable, but I feel like at high MMR people prefer Shadow Dragonair because it has more neutral play. What's the best Shadow Dragonite? Yes, you always talk about the Dragonite. You always have Dragonite. Every week there is a video about the Dragonite. Yes, and the best Dragonite team is actually this time Dragonite with a Charger Bug or Lantern and Vigoroth in the back. So why Vigoroth this time? It used to be Registeel, but Registeel now is very, very slow in the current meta, and it's tough to use, especially in a meta that's like known for pacing. In the current meta, like the main thing for every Pokemon to be good is actually pacing. Do you have good pacing? Yes. Okay, you're a good Pokemon. Do you have a good pacing? No, you're just bad Pokemon. If you prefer like a bulky lead, I would recommend using Skarmory with a Dragonair over the Dragonite with a Charger Bug. This team kind of like relies on picking up a neutral lead. Because the Skarmory tends to win all the neutral leads. It's a tap Pokemon. You just like get a neutral lead or a favorable lead, then you just RPS from there. You use the Dragonair as a safe swap, and usually you try to like technically intentionally lose a swap sometimes, so you can get like a couple of Steel Wings, so you can Brave Bird and Dip later, and then like use a Quack to just annoy the opponent by spamming these charge moves such as Aqua Tail and Stone Edge. Again, I tried using Goodra over the Dragonair, the Shadow Dragonair, and it was actually impressive, okay? I was impressed of Goodra, not gonna lie. Another version of this team is actually use a Trevenant instead, but with a Trevenant you kinda prefer using Gudra for the extra bulk that Gudra has, because Trevenant doesn't have that much bulk, so Gudra with the Dragonair is a bit scuffed because it requires like a bit of finesse, because you cannot double shield here and you cannot double shield here, and both require shield. So with Gudra you have more flexibility on like leaning toward like shielding toward Trevenant more. Best team, okay? I love this team. I played this team a lot. I think I hit veteran with this team last season. There is a video about it on the channel, hitting a new season high with this solid meta team. And it was basically Lantern, Dragonair, and Shadow Glider. And now with the Lantern nerf, I feel like Charjabug fills that role perfectly, because whatever Spark Lantern used to beat Lantern, Charjabug actually beat. So you don't have to worry about that. I love this team. I always try to use this team whenever I can. If you are an Empoleon fan, I feel like this is probably the fastest Empoleon team. Shadow Dragonair, Empoleon, and Quagsire. The problem with this team is Quagsire, okay? Because Quagsire runs over your backline. So if you get something like a Skarmory lead, it's actually tough. Your best bet is to use Gudra here as of a better version of this team. But Dragonair can, if you have a very good IV Shadow Dragon, you could beat a Skarmory up a shield, but then, yes, you beat a Skarmory, what do you do against the Quagsire in the back? So that's why I prefer Gudra here, to be honest. Some Altaria teams, okay? I know I said Altaria is actually back to the meta. So if you're looking for an Altaria team, this is the team I saw the most, and I was like, why people are running these weak to Basti teams? ABA Flyers with Lantern in the lead. So if they lose lead against Wiggly, what are they supposed to do? Go Lantern and then the opponent brings in Shadowvik? So I don't get these teams. So I don't appreciate this team. I don't like this team. I hate it, but some people were spamming it a lot. I queued a lot into it. So I might as well just mention it here. So if you don't have if you don't like Altaria, which I don't, you can just use Gudra. Moving into the next one. I know like this is the Jason's version of the Basti team. Jason loves using Dugong, and people pairs Basti with Vic and Wiggly, but Jason pairs it with Dugong and Annihilate, and I actually prefer his version of the team because it requires a bit more skills and it requires more knowledge about the matchups. When do you win the zero? When do you fight for the swap? These are the stuff you need to be aware of whenever you're using this team. But with Wiggly, you just look at this. Oh, okay, do I win the 2? Yes, okay, let's play the 2 and then align the Basti against the Flyer and then win the game. But yeah, so what's your favorite team? My favorite team is this team, okay? I love this team. I played this team a lot, okay? If you watch this channel, you know how much I would love to use this team. So you could do it this way, and you could actually add a Mandibuzz here and there. So let me grab a Mandibuzz from the best Pokemons and go back to where we were and do it this way. So you could do it this way, you could do it this way, you could do it this way. All of these versions are viable, okay? Either this, or this, or this. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, okay? Or this. These two Pokemons are very flexible, so you could choosing the third is up to you. The double ghost is kind of like some teams that has like the double ghost. Okay, let me move into the next team, which is actually as a double ghost. The team was popularized by the one and the only So Tactical back in season, I don't remember, season 2, and the team has been like just insanely flexible. You just choose Azu with the most common 2 ghosts in the meta. So you could do this. You could do this. This is ghost. I consider it because crocodiles are ghosts. Okay, they aren't animals, and they have Shadow Claw. So that's that makes the argument. So you can't even debate that, right? You just lose the debate. Yeah, it's like, you know, like it's like arguing with your wife. No matter how logical you are, you just lose the argument for your sanity. So yes, so this is basically a double ghost team. Another team that I actually like, and it's just good, okay? It's just good. It might not make sense, but it's just that good. Gator is probably the best code breaker to those stupid Skarmory teams, Skarmory, Quagsire, and Annihilate. All of them lose to Gator, okay? So I call it Unleash the Gator because this team relies on catching a Skarmory in the lead. Then Gator will just sweep their teams, okay? I tried this team myself multiple times, and I love it just every time. I think there is a short on the channel showing like Gator going 1v3 in like 2 or 3 games. That's how strong Gator is. Now moving into the top teams. So the teams I talked about before, those like teams were like popular at high MMR. Now we're talking about the top meta teams. Top meta teams, those teams genuinely do better in the average MMR, because in the average MMR, all you care about is having a good coverage, and then you can easily outplay everyone just by knowing like the matchups. You don't even care about more than knowing the matchups. So if you are well prepared for a great league, I think you're going to do great. So neutral play. I call this team neutral play because you are running 3 neutral Pokemons that has neutral play against almost everything. So Charjabug in the middle, or Lantern with the Dragonair, and Vigoroth. I think I mentioned that the Dragonite at high MMR, but below you could even do Gudra here. Mantine. If you like Mantine, I feel like this is the best Mantine team. It's kind of like an alignment dependent, but hey, some teams require alignment, and this is an easy mode team. You get like some Poliwrath or Annihilate in the lead, you're just going to win no matter what happens. This team doesn't have the best Azu answer. If they swap in Azu, you just have to stay in and play it out. And if you don't have enough skills to play this game, just play Triple Charm, my friend, okay? There is a video on the channel called Don't Punish the 3300 Battlets with this toxic team. It's insanely good of a team if the opponent has no skills. Just love to see this team working. I actually try Double Charm myself sometimes, because sometimes I just hate when I see people just being weak to Charm excessively. Like, I'm like, okay, it's time to punish people with a Wigglytuff and Shadow Grumble. Shadow Grumble is just insanely fun to use of a Pokemon. So yes, that's it for today. Thank you so much everyone for watching. This is the end of the video. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Like, you see all the buttons down below, click all of them. So the algorithm, not the GBL one, the one that some YouTubers talk about. No, the YouTube algorithm knows you're here. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Peace.